Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If your information-based product is based upon the notion that you have a unique approach, you're going to have to innovate every couple of years. You're going to have to change things up. You're going to have to come up with a new way. You're going to have to constantly evolve, create a new course, create new messaging, create new marketing. Because things are going to change. The way things work will change, and you're going to have to stay ahead of the curve. Now, for someone like me, who my strength is, among my top two strengths are strategic thinking and ideation, that's not a problem. I got plenty of ideas. But a lot of people don't want to do that, right? A lot of people don't want to have to come up with new ideas constantly, new ways of doing things. And if you're going to rely upon your method being unique, you need to understand that that is what you have to do. Welcome to the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast, where being a badass has less to do with what you wear and what music you listen to, and everything to do with whether you've got the thriving online business of your dreams. I'm your renegade thinking Harvard Law grad turned online entrepreneur host, Bobby Klink. In my years building my thriving business, the most important lesson I've learned is that being a badass online marketer isn't about secret strategies or ninja tactics. It's about doing the basic stuff right and showing the F up. So each week here on the show, you'll get clear, easy to execute guidance on how to build your online business and a swift kick in the ass or two to make sure you're getting it done. Hey there, welcome to episode 186 of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Klink, and I'm excited for today's show because I got some big announcements. I'm going to tell you about something really cool that we've had in the works, that it's been kind of this super secret project we've had for a while that I couldn't talk about, but I wanted to. And today I get to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to talk about it at the end. It's going to be something you're really going to want to hear about, but in the meantime, before we get to that, this is also an episode that every information product business owner needs to hear. There's going to be some stuff in here that you may not like hearing. There's going to be some kind of hard truths that you might have to think about, but I'm going to give it to you unvarnished. Specifically, this is an episode about what I see as the future of online information-based product businesses. In other words, course businesses, membership businesses, group coaching, kind of all of that stuff, the world where we live in. Because the reality is, I think we need to be planning for the future. There's a notion in kind of technology and science called planned obsolescence. And it's kind of the notion that you understand that the products you're creating are going to be obsolete at some point, and you need to plan for it. Now, in technology, sometimes the idea is that literally they plan it to go that way on purpose, so it will become obsolete, so people will have to buy more. In this context, I'm simply saying that we as online information product owners need to be looking into the future and saying, what is the future of our industry? What is the future of this business model? So that we don't end up in a place where our entire business and the entire way we're doing business becomes obsolete. I mean, think about it. That happened to like the Blockbusters of the world who, had an opportunity to buy Netflix and said, no one's going to ever do that. Well, Blockbuster is no more because they didn't plan for shifts in what was going to happen in the market. And I see a big shift coming, and I want to share it with you. So that's what this episode is about. Now, I don't have something that I'm going to say this episode is brought to you by up at the front, but you are going to want to stick around because that big announcement I got at the end, we've got something really cool that you can get your hands on absolutely free. And I hope you know, if you're in my audience for a while, I don't say that and then give some piece of junk. And it's not something that I'm going to make you buy something from me to get. No, we have something truly free, and I'm going to talk about it at the end because it links in to this episode. So before I kind of talk about the future, I want to talk about the past. I want to talk about kind of where we are. And this episode has kind of been on my mind for a while because, some people have said, people have been asking me, what happens when the online course bubble pops? Or what happens when the online membership bubble pops? And I said, well, I don't know that it's a bubble, first of all. And I'm not sure what it is, but I hear people concerned about that. So me being me, I think pretty deeply about these things. And I go and I thought about, where have we been? What's happened in the past and kind of what's going on? And one of the things I do tell people is, look, being an information business, like an information product business, isn't something that's unique. It's been part of human history. We've had, books sold and all kinds of different things. But I do think that we need to understand something philosophically, which is a business can't sell information. That can't be your purpose. Your purpose has to be to solve a problem. And we are problem solvers as business owners. And sometimes you can do that through information, but ultimately you have to identify what is the problem that you solve. And then you'll be able to make money based upon the value of solving that problem for people and how many people you can sell it to. So that's kind of what we have to understand is, what is the problem that we solve? And that needs to be front and center in our mind. And here's what I'm going to tell you. This is going to be different than the typical thing we talk about. Most people, when they talk about this idea of what problem do you solve, they're saying like, what is the result you get for your customers? And that's part of it. But what I'm saying is, what is the problem that your business model solves? In other words, if you're a course creator, what is the problem? Like, how does your course solve a problem that they couldn't go get somewhere else? In other words, what is the differentiator about your business? And that's an important thing to understand. Okay, so that's how I want to frame this discussion. And now let's kind of walk down memory lane. Now, in the past, for the bulk of human history, candidly, providing information in and of itself was solving a problem. For most of human history, information was not readily available. I think about when I was growing up, when I had to write a paper about something for like school, what I had to do is I went, and luckily, we had a book of encyclopedias at my house, like not a book, a whole series of encyclopedias. So I would go look that up. But I would only have a little bit of information most times. So then I would have to go to the library and I would have to see if we had books at, our library, the McAllen City Public Library. And then I'd go to my school library and sometimes I'd have to go to the university library, kind of the next town over, to see if they had information. So gathering information was hard. And in a lot of ways, I was limited by what was physically present in my encyclopedia in the three different libraries I had access to. That was the world I grew up in. Now, in that kind of world, information itself is valuable because it was hard to get. So bookstores and all that were able to survive because, hey, just literally being able to go and buy books was a helpful thing. But again, even that, growing up, there wasn't even a Barnes and Noble in my hometown. I'm forgetting. There was like one bookstore in the mall. I don't remember what it's called, but you can imagine it didn't have a ton of books. So, I had very limited access to what I could get. And so that was kind of the world. And I make a joke sometimes with people that in that world, when I was growing up, when I was in college, when I was in law school, we could still have arguments out at the bars. And what I mean by that is like someone would say something was true and someone else would argue about it. And we could have these long-lasting discussions and arguments because there was no way for us to know in that moment whether it was true. Now, yes, the internet was around, but we didn't have like the internet at the bar. And candidly, I didn't have the internet until I went to college. And even then I had very slow dial-up internet. So I didn't have a lot of information at my fingertips. So that's history. That's like what was the case. And in that world, simply providing information, you could make a good living by collecting and selling information. Now, listening to me right here, that's not the world we live in now, right? Now we have the opposite problem. information is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. We have access to the internet on our computers. We have phones like in our pockets that have, I don't even know how many times, but probably thousands or maybe even millions of times the computing power of the computers on the darn thing, the spaceships that went to the moon. And we have access to basically all of the information that has been gathered by human beings at our fingertips. And it's been organized in various ways. Like we can go to Google and search Google and get results. We can go to YouTube and search YouTube and find people telling us exactly how to do certain things. We can go to Pinterest if you're a Pinterest type of person and search it. I mean, I know, for example, my wife had gotten a ton of inspiration on Pinterest for things when we were like raising, when we were getting ready for my daughter and to be born, I don't know, that was 7 years ago now, but also since then, and for birthdays and recipes and all that stuff. And then there's blogs and podcasts and all of these things. So we have information. So we no longer can say that we sell information, because if you sell information, you're selling something that is readily available for free. And so that has created a challenge. Now, that's kind of a walk down memory lane. And so now I want to talk about the reasons why people might be willing to buy your course, buy your membership, basically buy an information product from you when all of that stuff is available for free. And I'm going to start with reasons that aren't going to last. Now, they might be around for you for a short period of time, but they're not going to last over the long term. So the first reason is actually the reason that most people will tell you that people will pay, which is that you have organized or curated the information for people. So that's why people say, well, you've organized it. That's why they'll pay for your course. And I want to be clear. There is value in organization. For me, for example, I understand that my time is valuable. So for me to go and spend, 5 extra hours searching the internet versus getting it from you, I'm willing to pay for that, right? I am. There is no question that is a true fact. Now, most people don't value their time as much as I do. So how much of that will play into it, I don't know. And what I'll tell you is that this value right now, even right now, the value that comes from organization that you'll be able to get will largely depend on the audience you serve and how much they value their time. So I'm just going to be coldly honest with you here. If you serve consumers, that value is not going to be as high. If you serve business owners who understand the value of time and have more money than time, you can get a bigger spread. That is true. There is no doubt about that. But here's the problem I want you to get even with that, even if you live in a world like I do, where right now people are willing to pay for that. The problem is that organizing information itself is actually not high value work. Right now, what we have is what people in financial markets would call an arbitrage opportunity. In other words, the value of the work, meaning me doing the work of organizing it, doesn't take a ton of time. I can actually get people to do organization for me, to do the work at relatively low rates, and then I can sell it at a much bigger spread. So an arbitrage opportunity is where there's this imbalance. Like I can get people to pay me a lot of money for organizing it, but it doesn't cost me a lot of money to organize it. Okay. So you can see how that's it's what's called an arbitrage because there's a mismatch. What I will tell you is, and again, I don't want to go too geeky on economic theory here. You don't have to understand all of this. But I'm going to tell you, this is from me, like literally, I have a lot of friends who work at hedge funds, who work in finance, who are very smart on economic issues. And what they will always tell you is that those arbitrage opportunities don't last. What happens is people see them and start exploiting them. And once you have success, other people will see it and they'll start exploiting it and they'll undercut you on price. And then more and more of that happens. And what tends to happen is ultimately the opportunity gets closed or it becomes minimally profitable. And we can see that happening in our space already. And let me give you examples. We can see the big companies who have scale coming into the space. Think about like masterclass.com. Now, they don't currently offer something that directly competes with me. But if you don't know what masterclass.com is, it's like this service. It's a membership that you pay $15 a month, so $180 a year. And right now you get access to over 90 courses. And it's like you can learn cooking from Gordon Ramsay. You can learn, basketball from NBA stars. You can learn filmmaking from, like, I think it's Martin Scorsese. I don't know if it's him, but it's one of these big directors. So I'm saying there is this thing. And the reason why they can do it is because they have scale. They don't have to make a lot of money from each individual sale. They have a ton of people buying. That is the model that will ultimately work if organizing information is what you're doing. Because ultimately that arbitrage opportunity, the difference between what it costs you to organize it and what people are willing to pay for organized, will close. And it's going to happen at different rates in different spaces. But what I'll tell you is if you have a particularly profitable space, it will get closed faster. And it's not just big companies. I mean, you'll have other competitors come in and they will start to compete. Okay. So the idea I want you to get here is if your rationale of why people should be willing to pay for your product is that you are organizing or curating the information for them in a step-by-step process, that's not going to last. Now, I can't tell you how long it'll be available for you. But if you're building your business based on that, you're building your business based upon something that will become obsolete at some point. And the more profitable you're able to be, the more quickly it will become unprofitable and that opportunity will close. So I had to talk about that because I know that's what everybody is telling people. And look, if you're trying to build a course that's going to make you money for a couple of years, great. If you're trying to build an information-based product business that'll be here for a decade, you can't plan to rely upon that, organizing of information. It's just not going to last. So I wanted to be very clear about that. Now, the next reason why, people might be willing to pay for an information product from you is because you're super niched. And I mean, this would be like, literally they can't find the information for free online. Maybe it's out there, but it's really hard to find because it's not something that a lot of people are talking about, et cetera. So there, you're basically in a space where you're still in the old world, where information has value. But I want to get, I want to have kind of a serious discussion if that's why you're thinking your product will work. What does it say that there isn't free information out there about it? Is there really a market for this product? How big is the market? How much money, are you going to be able to build even like, just you having, replacing a decent 9-to-5 job kind of revenue from that niche of a market? Now, you might be able to, but I want you to think very carefully about it, because if it is that niche that people can't find information about it for free, it's generally a sign in today's world that there may not be a very good market there. Okay. And so I want you to be careful about that. And if there is a market, what will happen is it will ultimately be closed because people will see the opportunity the same way I talked about it. So that's kind of the first two reasons. Now, the next reason is kind of the next few reasons are getting into the kinds of things I teach people to do, which is number one, if you and or your process is unique, that gives you an edge. So again, people might buy from me because they like me as a person, right? I am my unique selling proposition, I say, okay? And I believe in that, and all of us can, build something on that. There is no question. And also, if the way that you go about doing business is unique, the way that you teach your people the information, the process you teach, et cetera, is different, is unique, will work better for a certain group of people, et cetera, that then has value. There's no question, because at that point, you are not selling organization. That is not the problem you are solving. The problem you are solving is that you actually have a unique piece of information that you're selling, okay? So this is helpful. And so it can make it work for a period of time at least. But I got to talk about the limits here. First, let's not talk about the process. Let's talk about the you and you being unique. as much as I talk about this, as much as I believe it, as much as I believe this is an important reason, I want you to understand there are limits to it. I mean, look, there are a lot of people I like, but I'm not going to pay them $1,000 for something that I could get from someone else for $100. I'm just not. I mean, there's limits to how much me liking them will allow me to pay. And again, I'm someone who is not price sensitive. I throw money around in my business like nothing. So there are limits to that piece, to how much people are going to be willing to pay based upon liking you. So if that's what it is, again, that's the kind of thing, it's going to give you an edge, but it's not going to allow you to charge, multiples, 5 and 10 times what other people would charge. Now, then the next one though is, what if your way of doing whatever it is that you help, the underlying problem you help people solve is unique? So in my case, like email, the way I teach email is different than what most everyone else is teaching in the space. And again, I'm not saying there's no one else teaching it, but I know it's different than, for example, like Digital Marketer, which has, again, if you wanted it, they have a membership that's $95 a month that you get access to like 40 different courses, all about digital marketing. And so again, I know that's out there, but my email marketing approach is very different to theirs. Again, they're talking to us, but also to literally they'll talk to, a brick and mortar who's doing digital marketing as part of their business. So it's not as niche, number one, but also it's a very different approach and belief about marketing than what I have. So my approach is different. So people who've seen me succeed and want to email like I do will say, well, I'm going to buy from Bobby. Okay. So that is true. But, and here's a big but I got to give people here. That notion is only going to last so long, right? My way of doing it will only be like unique and different for a certain period of time. At some point, other people will be doing it, or people will figure it out, and it won't be unique. And this is kind of it made me think of a conversation I was having with one of my friends, because if you've been around here very long, I talk about how I don't think launching is the best way to build a business. And I was talking about it, and I always say, look, if launching is so good, how come Apple doesn't do it? Like, how come, you don't go into an Apple store and they say, well, I'm sorry, sir, you can't come and you can't buy an iPhone until 3 months from now. Yes, I know we have them in the back, but you can't buy them yet. And I'm talking about existing things, not new ones. And so one of my friends made a comment, she said, yeah, but I don't want to be like Apple where I have to like innovate every year or two. I don't want to do that. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. If your information-based product is based upon the notion that you have a unique approach, you're going to have to innovate every couple of years. You're going to have to change things up. You're going to have to come up with a new way. You're going to have to constantly evolve, create a new course, create new messaging, create new marketing. Because things are going to change. The way things work will change, and you're going to have to stay ahead of the curve. Now, for someone like me, who my strength is, among my top 2 strengths are strategic thinking and ideation, that's not a problem. I got plenty of ideas. But a lot of people don't want to do that, right? A lot of people don't want to have to come up with new ideas constantly, new ways of doing things. And if you're going to rely upon your method being unique, you need to understand that is what you have to do. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm simply telling you that as a fact. Because I don't want you getting into this business under false pretenses. I don't want you thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. I never have to do anything new again. I create one course and boom, for a decade, I'm good. It's not the way it works. At least not if that's your reason why people are buying from you. So those are, kind of your uniqueness and your unique method, they can work because you are at that point selling a solution that's different than freely available information and that's different from organization, okay? So that's kind of the first level down where you can make it work. But really, the place, and what I'm going to tell you is this is something people don't like hearing. And I'm going to say it, but at the end of the day, nobody wants to buy an online course. Nobody wants to buy a membership. No one wants to learn information. And that's an overstatement, not no one. I love learning information. But most people don't want to just learn information. Most people, and again, in the online marketing space, I'm saying, hey, is there an online course that'll teach me how to do that? Because I know that that's the medium. But most people don't think that way. What they're saying is, I want results. Like in my case, it's like, I want to be able to write good emails. That's what they want. Or I want to be able to build a business that will replace my 9 to 5 earnings. Like that's what they're saying. Okay. So they're not saying I want a course that'll teach me how. They're like, no, I want that result. Now I don't care how you give it to me, but give me that result. That's what I want. Right. And so that's what we need to be thinking about. And what I'll tell you is, and this is the way that I believe you have to be thinking if you actually want to be building something sustainable over the long term. You're not in the information business. You're in the implementation business. And what I mean by that is whatever information products you sell, again, and very little small, inexpensive ones are different. But if you're going to try to sell, a course or something like that, that's $500, $1,000, anything like that, you're in the implementation business. And that means you've got to provide support, you got to provide community, and you got to help people implement the method you teach to get the results you promise. And that is what people are going to pay for, because that's what like the masterclass of the world is not going to offer. That's the stuff you actually putting your time in there and helping them on their particular thing, their particular problem, not something at scale that you teach and all it is culling information. That is valuable work. That's work that people are willing to pay for. And this is not an arbitrage opportunity. It's not a place where there's a fake difference in what it costs you and what the value is. It actually is a situation where you are providing real value. So that will always last. And again, the more implementation help you provide, the more valuable your product will be, and the more you'll be able to actually sustain that over the long term. And again, over the short term, that's going to mean you helping with implementation, but eventually it might mean that you hire other coaches who work under you, who help with implementation. I don't care how you do it. But your value isn't in teaching. Your value is in seeing the people in your community succeed. And that means getting in the frickin' trenches and doing the work. Again, you could ignore me on this. You can say, Bobby is nuts. He's off on a rant. I don't want that. I want a scalable business. I don't want to have to do this stuff. And, you'll last for a while. But what I will tell you is that over the long term, my steadfast belief is that the businesses that are going to succeed in the online space and kind of the online information space aren't actually information businesses. They're implementation businesses. They're implementation businesses where what they're really charging people for is help implementing, and the information is kind of something that comes along with it. And so, I mean, if you think I'm saying this to be polarizing or to make myself stand out, I want to tell you now about kind of what we've decided about what my business is going to look like going forward. We've decided that on the business stuff side of my business, our business model is 100% about implementation. We're focusing on helping people get work done. And we started this a while back with VIP days. And so I'm going to continue to do VIP days. I basically, I can do stuff where I work with people for a half day, a full day, 2 days. And it's really about, hey, me getting in there and doing the work and bringing my value and helping you do it. And so those are kind of the highest level, obviously the most expensive because it's one-on-one work. But I know it's valuable and I know people pay for it. Then we're going to have boot camps. We're going to have these, again, once COVID is done and hopefully, with vaccine news coming out, hopefully it's going to be there soon. But once we're at a point where we can get together, these are going to be in person. Until then, they're going to be virtual. These are going to be kind of 3-day implementation events where it's kind of like, I give you some training, but then you do work. And I and my team and other people that I will bring in are going to be there to help you get the work done. So those are going to be the things. I mean, things like, we were going to do things like well, let me back up. My email course was originally going to be a boot camp. And we decided last year we didn't have it, but we're going to do a boot camp this year where it'll be like 3 days and people will get my email course, but also they'll get to come. And again, either virtually or in person, and spend 3 days writing all the emails with me there helping. Now, I won't be able to obviously put my eyes on every single email that everybody writes, but the goal would be, hey, you guys come, and in 3 days, you have a nurture sequence, your welcome sequence, and a bunch of your core emails. And if you have something you're promoting, your promotion sequence, all of that kind of written with me and my team looking at it and giving you advice, giving you help, helping you get the work done. Because again, imagine that. Instead of them buying a course, going through it, and, coming to calls, every couple of weeks or every month, they actually come in 3 days, they get the work done. All of a sudden they have an asset in their business, right? And so that's why that is so valuable to people. And I can do it in a, one-to-many type of environment. So that's the next level of product we're going to offer. Then I've got coaching and I've got my group coaching program. And by the way, we've just opened this up for the 2021 group. If you're interested in working with me and a small group of other entrepreneurs and really kind of building your business, that's what I do in the group coaching. And it's about me doing it. And it involves like every other week coaching calls. Also, multiple of my boot camps, all the boot camps I hold next year, my coaching people get access to. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to me. You know where to find me. But again, it's about building a relationship over a year and helping people do the work. And so that's the model we're building. And now I got to tell you the thing that I hinted at the beginning that makes me really weird. We also made a pretty crazy decision, which is that we're going to start giving training away for free. Yeah, you heard me right. Free. We're going to create online courses and we're going to give them away for free. I'm not even going to be masterclass and try to charge $180 a month. I don't want to chase people for $15. Like we did with kind of the legal stuff when I made the shift and said, hey, I've got the Legal Academy, which is the training. You can have that for free, which made me weird among online lawyers. I'm doing the same thing. I announced this at my event, Badass Online Marketing Live, over the weekend. We created something called Badass Online Marketing University, or BOMU for short. It is my vision to basically create a one-stop shop where, and I say shop, it's not even a shop, but a one-stop place where people can come and learn the information about how to market right in the online world. Because I don't know about you, but I know so many online entrepreneurs who got burned out by they spent $1,000 here, they spent $1,000 there, they spent $1,000 here, they spent $500 here, and it just, it's death by 1,000 courses. And it was something that actually came out of like, Katie and I, my integrator and I have had this discussion for a long time. Like, well, if we hire someone who has no experience in the online marketing space, how do we even bring them up to speed about all the stuff in online marketing? And there hasn't been a good solution. And we were like, that doesn't make sense. Like, again, yes, I've got all these courses that I have access to that I could give these people access to. But even then, I don't have everything. And look, I want to be clear, BOMU can't possibly cover everything. And right now, we only have one course in there right now when we launched, because done is better than perfect. It's called Online Marketing Foundations. It lays out an approach to doing business, an approach to thinking about business, an approach to marketing that it will actually help you build a business that'll be here for a decade. It's basically about what I call my Badass Online Marketing Framework, which in broad scope, it has kind of three big pieces. It's about commit, connect, convert. So commit is where you commit to lead a specific audience. It's about things like niching and understanding, how you do things differently, how you view things differently, what are your core like values and all of those things, like that stuff. Then there's connect, which is about connecting with your audience, about taking people from being like, people are like, oh, I signed up for this list, or there's this person over here talking about that, to someone who's a raving fan. And then convert is about how you sell to them. So that's what the course is about. It's, I don't know, it's like 25 or 26 lessons. There's a lot of detail in there about a lot of really good stuff. But, when you sign up for BOMU, which by the way, BOMU is free. It doesn't cost a thing. Like I said, you can get access by heading to bobbyklink.com/BOMU. And that's BOMU, the letter U. So BOMU, 4 letters, bobbyklink.com/BOMU. Like when you sign up, when you get into the portal, you'll see that we have three courses, which are coming soon. online messaging foundations, because I know that people need help with messaging, and I want to help give them a roadmap to kind of figure out what their messaging is. Then we're going to have online copywriting foundations, because sometimes like people will like come to us and like they say, hey, my stuff isn't working. People aren't signing up or whatever. And I look and I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay. It's like just fun. And I don't want to be mean, but I've done so much work on copywriting that I can look and I'm like, well, okay, this is not a good headline. These bullets are not good. And so I'm going to help you with that piece of what are the copywriting things you need to get good at, kind of distill the information I've learned into comprehensive lessons. Then we're going to do list building foundations. I'm going to just teach you how to build the list for free. I'm going to teach you how to do it right, how to be thinking about building the right kind of list, not just a list, but a list of people who are likely to be fans, who care about what you want, and would potentially be buyers. So those are kind of the next 3 courses up that we have in the hopper that we're going to do it. If you listen to last week's episode where I talked about our new project cycle and project management system, you heard me talk about doing product enhancement projects as part of every cycle. Well, every cycle that we go through, projects in my business, we will be doing these. We will be adding courses to Bomb U. And so we built that in because this was a vision for what we wanted to have. And I was like, I want to make sure that I'm constantly making this better. I'm constantly adding stuff so that we have a place for online entrepreneurs to learn this stuff. And so beyond those, we have ideas like sales page foundations. Again, I just want to have a resource where people can go learn how to write a sales page. So they have a framework, they have all that stuff and they can go. Beta launch foundations. Again, I'm not... People hear me launch and I say, wait, Bobby, you say don't launch. Well, when you create a new product, you're going to launch. And so I'm going to teach you how to do what I did with my products, how I've kind of, put them out in the world and gotten people to sign up right away, basically pay me to make it, which is the idea there. And then the notion of that is, hey, I'm going to put this out there. And if people don't want it, if people won't buy in a beta launch, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to create it. But you put it out there and then you do it. So once you built your list, once you've got all that other stuff, your beta launch is the way to go. Then we've got ideas to do content marketing foundations and storytelling foundations, because those are things that I do and I kind of excel at and people want to know how I do it. So we're going to do that. And we got other things on our backlog of courses we want to create. But most importantly, I want to treat this as something that serves the people who join. So we're going to be asking people who join Bomb U, hey, what would you like me to create a course about? And if it's something I can create a course about and we get enough people interested in it, we're going to do it. Now, if it's not something that I can do, maybe I'll see if I can find someone who will do it. But that's the idea, is to really kind of create something that will be valuable and helpful for you. And look, I know this is a crazy idea. Giving away this kind of thing is kind of insane. But it's something that I believe in, because my view is I would rather help online entrepreneurs get to the point that they can get over the initial hump of not making any money and get to the point that things are starting to work. And then if they want help implementing, if they're at a point where they're ready to make an investment of my time, I have no doubt they'll hire me. They'll join my coaching program. So again, yes, it is clearly a list building thing, but it's also a service. It's a mission. It's something that I feel called to do. And so I'm just saying, we're doing this because it's what we believe in. And, you can bet a lot of people think I'm nuts. But I'd rather people think I'm nuts because I'm giving way too much than people think I'm nuts for some other reason. And I'm doing it because it's consistent with what I believe, that simply organizing information into courses about strategies and tactics and things like that is not going to help you over the long term, is not going to be what actually makes you money and builds a sustainable business. I believe we all have to be in the implementation business. And so I'm in the implementation business. And that means I need to get as many people as possible ready for that implementation work. And the best way I can do that is give this away for free. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. And if you're a member of my Badass Online Marketers Facebook group, that's going to be a group where the focus is going to be on supporting people with the content of Bomb U. And then also we will be redoing my legal academy. We're going to add some pieces to it, but also redo it stylistically so it's consistent with today's branding. So my Facebook group is going to be about supporting people through their journey in these free trainings. And then when people are ready, I have confidence that they will buy from me because, they will trust me at that point, and they'll know that I'm the person who will help them get the work done, and I'm not going to just be trying to charge them for the information. So that's what I got for you today. Big announcement, huh? If you're interested, which I hope you are, if you're an online marketer, you really should be, head over to bobbyklink.com/bomb you. Again, that's BOMU, 4 letters, BOMU, like, bomb you. And so head over there, sign up, you'll get access, you'll get in that first course. And we'll love to hear feedback from you and kind of get information. What do you want? What would you like us to create, et cetera, going forward? And we're going to just keep making it better and better over time. So that's what we got. That's all I got for you this week. I'll see you again next week. That's it for this episode of the Certified Badass Online Marketing Podcast. Make sure to tune in next time. And in the meantime, go out and build the badass business of your dreams.